During today's talk, Dr. Watkins is going to talk to us a little bit about the vaccine for ages 5 to 11. He was here talking to us previously about vaccinations for adults and adolescents, and inquiring minds want to know many different things. We've had many parents asking us questions specific to the vaccine because they're really nervous and they want the best for their children. So are there major differences between the child and adult vaccine?
For the child vaccine, the only approved vaccine is the Pfizer vaccine. And the difference is the concentration of the dose. So children are getting 1/3 of the dose of the adult dose of the Pfizer vaccine.
And other parents ask the question, how was the decision made to roll out the vaccine based on age groups?
So I think hopefully it will be reassuring for parents to know that this is kind of the standard process that vaccines and medications are developed, where they kind of go for adults and work their way down. And so it was like a similar process, and it can be kind of complicated, but basically they kind of go by body size, age, and then as you get younger, people's bodies tend to be smaller, so they have to work on the concentrations.
So it's sounding like you guys were making a really calculated decision to make it safe and effective for everyone to try it. Have children previously taken mRNA vaccines?
So the mRNA vaccine technology is on the newer side. Vaccines have been around for over 200 years. So it's new, but it's been around for about 20 years plus. Folks have been working and trying to develop therapeutics with the mRNA technology. But to zoom back a little bit, mRNA is one of the basic building blocks of life. Just like DNA, our body is processing mRNA all the time, and it's very well equipped to break it down, to work with mRNA. But that breaking down is a really important part because our bodies are able to process the mRNA in these vaccines really quickly. Within a couple of days, all the mRNA is out of our body. And that really reflects just, scientific advancement, that we're able to make these vaccines safe and effective, make them en masse in the billions of doses to get folks vaccinated. Now, over 50% of the world's population has gotten at least one dose of the vaccine.
Wow. So what exactly is in the vaccine?
So the vaccine is a pretty complicated, biological product. But basically that serves to help our immune systems activate and to protect us. So the active ingredient in the vaccine for children is the mRNA, a small genetic sequence that our bodies can process to develop this protein that helps our bodies be sensitized. There's some other components that are found in common, injectable medications, things like saline, the liquid component to keep it from being dry. And there's some other components such as what we call lipids to help protect the very fragile mRNA. All of the ingredients are readily, you can check them out. The FDA has it published, and you can find it also at the Health Department website.
Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Watkins. Do children experience serious side effects with the vaccine?
So in the trials for the children 5 to 11, we have found that some of the basic side effects that we're seeing in a lot of adults, local pain, maybe a little bit of swelling, fatigue, headaches, those are the most common things that we've seen in children ages 5 to 11. We actually have not seen any cases of that very rare complication that we saw in some older kids with the heart, with the inflammation around the heart. So we have not seen that in children younger than 11. That said, the trials weren't super big. There weren't millions of people. So it's possible that something like that could happen, but again, it's extremely rare. And we're seeing, hundreds of thousands of kids vaccinated already. Kids are tolerating it, and kids are not in the hospitals as much as they had been since they've been vaccinated.
How safe do you feel this vaccine is? It seems like you kind of answered that question already.
I think the vaccine is extremely safe and extremely effective, and I'm really encouraged by it, and that's why I'm here talking to you today, because I really believe in the science.
Are there any benefits or risk in children taking the vaccine?
I think when we think about benefits, I think that there's laundry list of benefits, but I think one of the best benefits is that peace of mind knowing that your kid can go to school, can be around friends, can be around family members, especially the most vulnerable, and know that their risk for getting infected or infecting someone is lower, that it is a bit safer for them to go to school. I think those are like one of the biggest benefits. But then also the vaccines consistently are proving to help prevent severe symptoms, help prevent hospitalization, and help to prevent death in adults and children. So I think those are some of the major benefits. Some of the risks, I think weighing the risk, you have to definitely think about the risk of vaccination, but weigh that against the risk of infection with COVID-19. And so when we think about the risk of being vaccinated, it's very low compared to the risk that COVID-19 poses, especially as we see young kids who are getting infected. About 10% are having what we call long COVID. Mm-hmm. So kids are having these symptoms that are lasting for months. And I think that is a big risk. And that's why we were trying to get folks vaccinated to prevent them from getting infected with COVID and having some of these long-term side effects.
Can you say anything about the long-term effects of the vaccine?
So long-term effects of the vaccine, we're definitely reassured understanding how the vaccine works, the mRNA technology, that there's no real room or scientific basis for like these longer term effects, seeing that the mRNA, this active ingredient, is processed by the body in a really short time. There's no heavy metals in the vaccine that we would think would be stored in the body for a long time. So I think long-term effects definitely are something that I'm less concerned about just because of the nature of the vaccines and how it works with our bodies. And then, short time will tell. I'm not going to say that it's out of the realm of possibility, but I think that the risk is so much lower compared to some of these long-term and short-term effects of being infected with COVID-19.
How long does the protection last for children 5 to 11?
So that's another thing that we have to kind of keep an eye on. For adults, we've seen that for some of the older adults and adults who are the most at risk, that some of the protection of the immunity can start to go down after around 6 to 8 months. For kids, we have yet to kind of see exactly how long the protection lasts. But kids are pretty resilient and they do have pretty robust immune response. So it could be just as long, it could be even longer.
Would you say or estimate that children would need a booster?
I think that there's a lot of factors that go into needing a booster beyond just if the vaccine itself, the protection can last, 6, 8, 12 months. There's other factors. I think the biggest factor, which we're all living through now, is variants. We see how the Delta variant caused another spike, that we're seeing some ongoing increased signals or increased cases from the Delta variant across the world right now. So it all kind of depends on if there's a new variant, how long the duration lasts, and some other risks for if a child may be at increased risk because of an underlying medical condition.
Will other vaccine options become available to parents outside of Pfizer?
Yes, I think that's another part of the pandemic that we're kind of seeing in real time, where the only reason why we're talking about Pfizer for children now is because Pfizer got all their facts together earlier and got in line for the approval process before some of the other vaccines. And so we'll probably see an approval for Moderna, maybe Johnson & Johnson in 2022. We may actually see an expansion of the vaccines available in the country. There may be a fourth vaccine option. So we definitely, as time goes on and we learn more and some of these studies publish the data, we could see an expansion of what different vaccine products and different mechanisms to vaccinate.
Is this something that will become mandatory for students in school? Will children have to be vaccinated?
So there is a precedent for children's vaccines, started in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And the COVID-19 vaccine is currently not part of the school vaccine mandates. Most of those decisions are made at the state level. So from New York, I work for the city of New York. So those are things that are basically not under our control. But I would say probably with time, more evidence, I wouldn't say that it's impossible, but it's definitely it's not a thing right now.
Okay. And will there be a vaccine for children under 5?
Yes. There is actually ongoing research for the vaccine for children under 5 now. I think it's from 5 to around 6 months old. And probably first quarter, the first half of 2022, we should see some of the data on children younger than 5.
Do you mind if I throw in a wild card?
Yes, you may.
Okay. So I've seen recently in the news that Pfizer has released a pill to help to combat symptoms of COVID-19. Are there any studies being done on a pill for children?
I'm not familiar with the children, like what the ages of the Pfizer oral antiviral. But I would say the approval for use in children tends to lag behind the adults as they kind of sort through all of that data for the adult populations and figure out recommendations and clinical guidance around the adults. I think the children, that would probably lag a bit, in the approval process.
Thank you, Dr. Watkins, for demystifying this whole process. We feel very enlightened. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Happy to be here.